Limitless Wrestling fans. John Alba here with the Czar, Randy Carver. And Randy, another week coming up here for the Limitless Wrestling podcast. How was your last week?
My last week was pretty good, man. Got a lot of things done, a lot of new things popping up, as people may have seen, but good week. How about you?
Busy AF, but that's okay. That comes with the territory. And yeah, I heard some stuff is going on with Limitless, almost, if you will, New England warfare.
That's a good name for it. Yeah, we're taking Limitless Wrestling on the road for the first time ever outside of the state of Maine. Saturday, December 1st. We're going to war with someone Limitless fans know quite well, Jeremy Leary and his promotion Blitzkrieg Pro. So all with a good cause tied in there as well. So I'm very excited for it. You know, we've talked a couple times this year about taking Limitless on the road, and I was never sure about it. And this is something that, you know, legitimately happened within like a week or so. So pretty happy that it worked out the way it did, and it's going to be a real fun weekend for Limitless Wrestling fans.
Why is now the time for you?
I think just everything fell into place so good. Leary's one of the dudes who I'll hit up, you know, who's a local promoter. And anytime I have a show, like I hit up anyone local because, you know, with the people that we bring in, like, I don't know, Brody King, for instance, or Eli Everfly, Delilah Doom, they're coming in from, you know, pretty far. And if I can set them up with a weekend of shows, I'd love to do that. So a lot of the times I'll reach out and just see if anybody's running or anybody's interested. And I knew Leary had said something about December 1st a while ago, but then when we got to talking about it like last week, he's like, well, I just, you know, I really want to do something different for a show. And that's where we kind of devised up the concept of what if, you know, we did Limitless versus Blitzkrieg. And I don't know, man, the rest is history. It just fell into place way too good to not do.
So tickets are on sale for Limitless versus Blitzkrieg Monday, October 15th on blitzkriegpro.net. So not limitlesswrestling.com.
I was going to say, just to be clear, it is not going through our website, but everything drops blitzkriegpro.net, and there is an event page up now. So you can go to Limitless Wrestling on Facebook. You can go into our events tab, and not only is No Control there, but you can see that event page as well. So all the information is right there.
And the cool thing about Blitzkrieg and Limitless is there's a lot of shared talent, which means people are going to have to pick sides.
Yeah, that was the interesting part about it, because we do have a lot of people who wrestle in both places. I mean, you can look at Blitzkrieg's core roster, and most of them, even if it's only been once or twice, most of them have appeared in a Limitless Wrestling ring, and vice versa. You know, Jeremy Leary, obviously, he was, you know, in the growing stages of Limitless Wrestling throughout year 1 and 2, as was Skyler. They're both mainstays at Blitzkrieg Pro. Scott Wilde, who was on the first ever Limitless show, had a lot of big matches throughout year 1. He's a mainstay for Blitzkrieg Pro. Top Shelf Troy, who's on every Limitless show. He's also in Blitzkrieg Wrestling. But as you already saw on Twitter, maybe you didn't, but Top Shelf has aligned himself with Limitless for the night. So we'll have to bring Top Shelf to Connecticut. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is something that could cause some rifts between some guys potentially, but it'll be interesting to see who people choose with all the crossover.
Certainly will be. blitzkriegpro.net is where you can pick up your tickets. Already listed, and it is technically a Limitless debut. A name that I'd imagine you're probably stoked to see wrestle on a show that's sponsored by Limitless. Nunzio.
Yes,
Lil Guido.
Leary mentioned bringing in Little Guido for this show, and I was absolutely all about it. So I'm very stoked to have the Blitzkrieg return and the Limitless debut of Nunzio on this show. So if that's something, you know, a lot of people ask, you know, why don't we see more either WWE legends or maybe ECW originals, something along that line. So this is something for those fans, you know, who ask for that every time. I think Nunzio is a pretty cool grab, and he will be wrestling at this show as well. So you not only get to meet him, you get to see him wrestle. I think that's a lot of doubt in people's minds when they see like some older names on posters and they wonder if they're going to wrestle. Nunzio is still wrestling at a very high level.
Dude, I love seeing some of these guys still go at it, because you know what? Most of the guys, and this isn't always the case, but most of the guys in the league of Nunzio, those guys whose names you've seen a million times, you saw them on WWE, you saw them in ECW, WCW, The ones, for the most part, that are still going today are doing it because they love it. And guys like him, guys like Gangrel is awesome. And I still stand by it. I think the greatest theme in WWE history belongs to Gangrel. And I could watch that guy still have fun today. And he came up to an IWE show when I was up in Maine. Had a great time watching him. And there are a million other guys that are still doing it like him. And so it's really cool because they're still doing it because they want to, which means they still want to interact with the fans. They still want to talk to fans, pick their brains, and perform. And that's good for everyone.
Yeah, no doubt. I look back at Super Crazy too.
Yeah, Super Crazy.
Because we brought him in last year. And honestly, like, when I am booking someone like that who they may not have like a ton of recent, footage available that I can find online, it's, gets me a little skeptical because I don't know really what I'm getting into. But, Super Crazy is one of those ones that was just so awesome. Like, I had seen clips from when I was going to book Super Crazy. I had seen like recent clips and he still looked like a fucking insane person. So I'm like, maybe these aren't recent, but no, man, he's still going like he was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Super Crazy is an animal. Nunzio's the same way, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So some pretty exciting stuff there. And that's just down the line. That's in the beginning of December because before that, we've got No Control. Tickets go on sale Monday at 7 o'clock on LimitlessWrestling.com. This show, we talked a little bit about it last week, what we had lined up, Josh Briggs versus Chris Dickinson. And then here's one I'm super stoked for. And there's several announcements we're going to go through here, but here's one that you announced just today as we tape this. The debut of Doomfly, which of course is Eli Everfly and Delilah Doom. And I've said this to you, I've said this on the show. My co-host on my podcast, Doug McDonald, on Living the Gimmick, even said to me after watching one of the matches that Eli Everfly was in Limitless, he's like, man, that guy has something special. So yeah. I think it's great that he's coming back and he's bringing a friend here too.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Delilah Doom has actually been someone who's been on our radar for quite some time, and it makes that transition of like booking someone easier now that we've already booked Eli, and he's actually suggested the tag team numerous times to me. So with how this card shaped up, it's such a unique card, and it really, I think, it goes along with everything that everyone's been saying where, we kind of closed the chapter of Limitless Wrestling in September, and there's a new chapter with just so much, I don't know, freshness, if that makes any sense. I think this card really reflects that, and I think Doomfly does too, because they're just such a vibrant, unique tag team, and I think they're going to fit into Limitless Wrestling very well.
Well, Eli Everfly certainly has. He first appeared in April, if I'm not mistaken. Was that his first appearance, or was March his first appearance?
You got me, man.
I'm trying to remember if it was the Portland Club was his first show versus Brody King. Was Brody King his first match in Limitless?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So then that was April. Okay. So he's been at just about every Limitless show since, and he's got something special, man. 5'6", if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's a very small dude, but just like, I think the insane thing is, like, I was watching a match of his today, actually. He does not, like, he's got some pretty short limbs for someone. Like, I know, if you're short, you got short limbs. I guess that's, it comes with the territory. But it's amazing how he can still, I don't know. Like, I looked at a Hurricane Rana that he did, and he's just like he's popping. Like, it looks like he has to go so far to get there, but he pops it off like nobody does.
And he's got so much charisma.
Yeah.
His charisma is off the charts. He's got a unique look.
Man. He's a fun feel.
Absolutely. So bringing Delilah Doom, that's going to be a fun attraction.
I'm excited to see the team too. Like, I've been watching a lot of videos that they posted on like Instagram and Twitter, and they just do fun shit. Like, it's going to be a real fun match. I honestly, I cannot wait to tell people who they're facing, because I think people are going to flip out.
Can you give us a hint?
I can't, man. I can't. It's just going to be super
fun. Are they people we've seen in Limitless before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not who anyone's going to be expecting. It's very off the wall, but super fun.
Okay. Well, that's.
I think we're going to kick off the show with it too. Don't quote me on it, but That's a little hint, I guess.
Card is subject to change. Also appearing, Darby Allin making his return too after his stellar summer. He worked some big time matches. I think April was the last time we saw him, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
That's
The
when he
last time
did.
we saw Darby Allin, no, it was in May. He wrestled Zachary Wentz.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He did. I'm just
Um,
thinking of the April match where he pressed himself off the ceiling at the Portland Club.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last time he was at the Portland Club, he springboards, does a push up off the ceiling into Zachary Wentz.
God, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's insane.
Marco Stunt talked about that a little bit last week. Still excited for that?
Of course I am. He's very excited too. He actually tweeted last night that he said he had a dream the other day that he debuted at LW Maine, and then we announced him. So it's gonna be pretty cool, man. Marco Stunt's another guy I'm very excited by. I actually just saw clips of him tonight at MLW, and just seeing such cool clips from a dude, so young, and just having all this support from fans. Like I don't know, just you look at the story of Marco Stunt, and it's just a real fun one to watch progress, because he gets this break at the Joey Janela show in New York, and he wrestles Kyle the Beast and has an insane match, and then Cody Rhodes sees that match and books him for All In. Like how the fuck does that happen? From a guy from Olive Branch, Missouri, I believe. Just insane. So I'm happy that Limitless gets to become a stop on his rise to whatever's happening for him, because it's just crazy, man.
Fan favorites, LAX returning for this, and then the big time announcement that also got my co-host Doug just absolutely amped because he loves him, I love him, I think he's super unique. Filthy Tom Lawler.
I'm excited for this, man. You've been one of the people who's been telling me about Tom Lawler for a long time.
I have been.
But we got lucky. We had dates that finally lined up, and I'm just really excited, man. And I think this is a cool thing about independent wrestling right now, is because maybe some independent wrestling fans don't know, but Tom Lawler was a real fucking famous UFC fighter.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about bringing in someone like this, who's was in combat sports, and now they're coming to professional wrestling, like that's two different areas of fans that we're kind of appealing to.
Absolutely.
And this is the thing that I love the most, is because there might be UFC fans who are fans of Filthy Tom, and they see that he's coming to Portland, Maine, and they'll come to the show. And, hoping to God it's not the ignorant, fan who's like, oh, pro wrestling's fake. I fucking love Five Finger Death Punch, like whatever. But I hope it's the fan who is very open to what's going to happen that night, because there are those people too who they're UFC fans, but they're very open to what they're about to see. And then that's the cool thing about this, because I feel like we can get some people in the room and we can kind of change their perception of professional wrestling. And that's the goal, man. Get more people on this bandwagon.
You popped me on that one. That was good. I freaking hate Five Finger Death Punch, but that's besides the point. Sorry, folks. Filthy Tom, you're right. I've been talking him up big time. I've asked you about him several times, and I'm really happy to see him making his Limitless debut. It is pretty remarkable how seamlessly just about every single MMA guy or girl that wants to try their hand in pro wrestling has made the conversion.
Yeah, and I think,
there's just a natural athleticism to it.
There's got to be, because, I mean, when you go from one to the other, I think there, as much as people say there are a ton of similarities in how you train for something or what condition your body should be in. And I think that's a big part of professional wrestling, and a lot of people don't talk about it, is just, athleticism, but how are you going to adjust to the training that you have to do to get better at this?
And there's that, and then I think unless you're a comedy act, and even if you're a comedy act in pro wrestling, there's still a way, as Whiskey Dick proved to us, when you can channel a certain degree of intensity, you come off more like a star. Look no further than Ronda Rousey. When she puts that nasty face on in the ring and she starts throwing people around, she screams superstar.
Insane.
She screams superstar. And
I am heavily enthralled in every Ronda Rousey match.
Right. And I think every MMA person who makes a switch over has that natural intensity, because in order to fight in the octagon, you have to be that way.
Right.
So
I don't know, man. Like, it's very interesting, because a lot of the people who I've been in contact with, whether it's on other shows or they've come into Limitless, who have been, MMA fighters and come into the world of professional wrestling, like it is pretty seamless for some people, like Chuck O'Neal, who was on the first ever Limitless show, and then his tag partner on the second Limitless show, Eric Spicely, who is now actually contracted to UFC. Both of them, they trained with Biff Busick, known as Oney Lorcan in Providence, Rhode Island, and man, they got it quick. Like they were wrestling matches very soon after training. And then you look at obviously Matt Riddle, Tom Lawler,
Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, it sounds like, has just been insanely successful.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Daria Baronato. A lot have really just been extremely successful. So that's going to be a trend we're going to see continue to grow, man. And look, for a lot of these MMA fighters, it's a safer career path for sure. Not
it
that
is,
pro
man.
wrestling is
maybe,
safe.
that's a pretty good career path, man. If you're like a successful UFC fighter for a couple of years, you can get that money and then say, all right, I'm gonna go be a pro wrestler now, save my body, and have some fun.
Not to say that you're not giving up your body a lot in pro wrestling.
Well, you're
it's
not getting fucking annihilated.
You're not getting...
There are a lot of injuries that could come from professional wrestling, but I think it's a lower risk.
The goal of protecting your opponent becomes the priority rather than hurting your opponent.
Right.
So
right.
it's definitely a dynamic change. But talking about a guy like Tom Lawler, you mentioned Marco Stunt just before. Common denominator here is MLW, man. And without MLW's growth in the last year, a lot of these guys may not have the mainstream avenue in pro wrestling that others that they would have otherwise. I'm actually doing a huge feature next week on Salina de la Renta right here in Orlando. And
hell of a roll with the tongue there. That was impressive.
Let's see, I botched that one.
Hey,
Gracias, me apreciado. But I think you got to give a little bit of a golf clap here to the likes of a guy like Court Bauer and the rest of that crew, because they've had a really positive effect on indie wrestling, because they've given a lot of these indie wrestlers a national television platform that's not WWE or Impact or Ring of Honor, that they can free-flowingly work back and forth with the indies, like Shane Strickland, who was able to appear at the Limitless show earlier this year, like Teddy Hart, like Filthy Tom Lawler, all these guys and gals.
Yeah, dude, MLW is doing great stuff right now, and I think anyone who says that more mainstream companies is bad for wrestling is, I don't want to say an idiot, but I already said it. So,
and here's where you can give your boy Harry Aaron a shout out too.
Yeah, man. Harry also, one thing that I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but Harry suggests a lot of good talent that ends up coming to Limitless sooner rather than later. So, and that's a big benefit too, is he's at almost every MLW show. So if he sees someone who's doing some good shit, I almost immediately get a message that night or the next day of who they are and what they did, and it's perfect, man. He's a talent scout.
I would be remiss if I did not mention MJF. So before I get the tweets about it.
Oh yeah. But no, MLW, and it's kind of cool because, as you said, Tom Lawler is someone who has received a lot more notice, I would say, on the independent scene since the MLW Fusion show has taken off. There were a couple people commenting, I love seeing Tom Lawler on MLW Fusion. Very excited to see him in Limitless. Like, who knows if they would have known who Tom Lawler was in the wrestling scope of things, if they hadn't seen him on MLW. So
yeah,
it's a pretty cool way that, fans can be associated, like they can know these talents before they come in, these guys who wrestle on MLW, and they get to see them on TV. So that's pretty cool.
Plus, if you're a big fan of the Wrestling Observer and Figure 4 Online, you know him and Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. They're all connected too. So lots of different avenues in that regard. Only 35 VIP tickets will be made available. Why, Randy?
So, as many people know who have attended shows at the Portland Club, it is a little smaller.
Snug.
It's snug. We cannot sell the same amount of tickets that we do in Westbrook. We actually have to cut off about 80. So, we always have to go through the motions of the Portland Club to figure out an actual capacity number, but it looks like it's going to be around the 350 to 375 mark, which is on the lower side of what it usually is for the Portland Club. So, we're just, it's a tight on space. So, only 35 VIP tickets will be available, $40, and we'll get the package out of the way right here. So anyone who listens, Thursday night or Friday, they'll know this before the public does. But The VIP package for this show is early entry, as always, 6:30 p.m., guaranteed front row seating, and you get a free autographed 8x10 by Filthy Tom Lawler. So
Nice.
Definitely jump on that while you can. Only 35 available compared to the normal 40, just because we just don't have the space.
You know, chances are you're going to be able to get a picture with these guys and gals too. So get in on that.
Oh, no doubt.
So do that and just buy your tickets now. Once they go on sale on Monday, don't waste your time. It's just not good. Not good. Because this show very likely will sell out, and you don't want to be on the outside looking in. You know?
Yeah, I don't want to turn anyone away if I don't have to.
You know, don't get me wrong. I love reading a good review on the Wrestling Insomniac, but I wish I was there.
I love the Wrestling Insomniac.
You know, the Wrestling Insomniac...
Always great reviews.
The Wrestling Insomniac was never all that complimentary of me, so I don't know. I gotta think about
Really?
it. Yeah, it's more just a casual footnote in the segment that I was in the April show. Listed the entire segment off and then said, "Oh, and Alba was a moderator." I was like, "Okay, okay, all right, sure, man, all right, whatever." You know, you're not the one getting calls at your work from people who are so angry over what you did in a pro wrestling ring that they have to call your news director and tell them that you're a jerk.
That baffles me that happened.
Why does it baffle you?
I don't know. I just wouldn't think that would happen, but then I remember it's, I don't know.
That we're talking about pro wrestling in Maine. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I could see it, but I was just surprised. I remember getting like the message being like, "You'll never believe what just happened."
Oh my goodness. And it didn't happen just once. It happened many times. And oh boy, what a world. Ugh.
Fun stuff.
Thank God I don't have to deal with that anymore.
That happened to me actually, but it wasn't anything bad. But someone called the store to see if I was working because they wanted to buy tickets.
Yeah, that's not as bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all. They laughed about it, but I laughed about it too because I'm like, fuck, man. Like, why do you know where I work?
No, this message was more of, do you know that your sports director is a heinous human being who makes it, like, I mean, bad. Really bad.
I wish I could have that conversation recorded.
Oh, and believe me, I sent them a strongly worded email in response.
Beautiful.
And they were profusely apologetic, let's say. That was the bad one, at least.
Yeah.
You know, while I'm just pimping myself out, I guess I'll continue to do it. I got to make a quick Living the Gimmick announcement here, Randy. You know, for those of you who listen to all these great podcasts, like the Main Event podcast and so many others, Randy, what are some other ones we love?
The Wrestling Podcast About Nothing, I love. I'm a big fan. Actually, I was just listening to the Joe Rogan Experience today. You ever tried that out?
Mm-hmm. If you want a 3.5 hour diatribe every day, sure, go for it.
Dude, I mean, I have to pick and choose my episodes, but I listened to his with Neil deGrasse Tyson today, and it was just amazing. It really makes you think about shit. I love a couple episodes of that, but I want to hear more about Living the Gimmick.
Yeah, damn right you do, because Living the Gimmick, the LTG podcast, we got some cool stuff going on, and I know if I've had a lot of Limitless fans come up to me or message me and say, hey, I love Living the Gimmick too, and I'm glad you do, because I think we offer a very unique perspective and way of covering professional wrestling. And first off, this week coming up, we got AJ Kirsch. You might remember him from Tough Enough, but he's also the voice of the My Career Mode character in WWE 2K19 this year. And he's coming up this week on the podcast. He was just on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. He was the winner of The Rock's you remember that like promo competition that The Rock hosted a year ago or so?
Yeah.
He won that, and The Rock the Promo, I think it was called, or something like that. And then we are also going to be in the next couple of weeks launching a Patreon account with all these different tiers of offers ranging from $5 to $40 that people can contribute in order to help support the show and keep putting out good content. But I mean, we're talking exclusive on-demand content that includes instant reaction to major pro wrestling shows, exclusive preview shows, an exclusive message board for you to talk wrestling, t-shirts, You're going to get a chance to listen to live tapings of Living the Gimmick. You're going to get a chance to potentially even guest star on a segment on Living the Gimmick or suggest a segment. So there's a lot of cool different things that we're going to be offering through this Patreon account. And if you're a fan of just having fun talking wrestling or listening to wrestling, and if you like to laugh, because I like to think we bring that a lot too, make sure you subscribe to Living the Gimmick right now on iTunes, on Podbean, wherever you get your podcast. Leave a review just like you do for this one. You leave a 5-star review and get your hands on that, because you're not going to want to miss any of those goodies. And I promise you still, Randy, and I'll let you know when it happens, Sign Guy is coming. I don't know when, but it's coming. We've had some scheduling difficulties, but it will.
I am waiting on it.
It will happen for sure. Let's switch back to this Blitzkrieg versus Limitless show here. So what made you, because I saw the stuff on social media, so what made you get talking about it?
Well, I mean, they put it out there that they wanted to, they feel like they've been overlooked, I think, as not only a promotion, but some of the guys within the promotion. And yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the promotion versus promotion shows. I think it helps really everybody because, I think a lot of our fans are going to travel to Enfield, Connecticut for this. And by the way, folks, we are looking into a travel bus for this show for fans. I cannot guarantee anything yet, but we have 2 bus lines that are prospects, and they're supposed to get back to me by Monday. So we'll see where we're going from there, but hopefully something works out with that. And if so, we'll obviously tell you on here. But I think it's a win-win for both promotions because there's going to be new fans checking out Blitzkrieg, new fans checking out Limitless because we're in a different area. And it's really going to provide some unique matchups that are going to come into this because the format of this show is very interesting. We're going to have 6 Limitless versus Blitzkrieg matches. That's what's going to, go on through the early half of the show. Then the winners of those 6 matches, as long as we don't, sweep and whoop them, the winners of those will go on to a main event elimination Survivor Series style tag team match. And obviously it does not have to be even because the matches will shake out how they shake out. So it's the winners from representing Team Limitless earlier in the night will go against the winners that represent Team Blitzkrieg, and that'll be your main event in the evening.
That's pretty darn cool right there.
I think it'll be fun. I've always
and Connecticut sucks,
versus.
So I'm all for this because Connecticut really sucks, so it needs something good. So
wow, that's
I did.
words.
Look, I went to school in Connecticut. I retain the right to say this. I call it patheticate. I call it regretticate. I call it hereticate. Connecticut sucks. Driving sucks. Oh, I won't hold back on this, man. It's the worst. So the fact that you're bringing something cool to that's a cool thing.
I mean, I do hope we go there and whoop them, but regardless, fun experience. I like a lot of the Blitzkrieg guys. They got a lot of talent in that locker room. That,
what do you think?
Some I have never used. Some I've used, not as frequently as I would like, but we're going to get some fun matchups out of this.
What do you think sweeping or having a really good showing would say about Limitless?
I mean, I think it would prove the fact that we're, not only a top tier independent in the Northeast, but really across the nation, because that's what I believe, totally honest.
No, I hear you. Is this like you testing the waters for doing some more out-of-state stuff? Because I know you've been down to Hartford a lot. You've seen shows in Hartford. You've seen stuff there. And Hartford is a stone's throw away from New York City, not terribly far. We got WrestleMania weekend coming up. There's going to be a lot of shows that are run between not just New York and New Jersey, but a lot of shows are going to be run in Connecticut because it's not far away. A lot of shows are going to be run in Pennsylvania because it's not far away. So is this you kind of testing those waters a little bit going forward?
I would say so, yeah, because it obviously is testing the waters because, we've never left the state of Maine for any shows, but it's really, honestly, it was right place, right time. It all just came together way too well. Jeremy and I talked about it one night, and he said, "Give me a couple days, and I'm going to see if we can make this happen." And he put his head down with the work, and 2 days later, I got a message and said it's on. So we just went from there, and we got a cool, cool cause with it as well. We're teaming up with the Enfield Police Department. We're doing Toys for Joy, so that a bunch of kids can, who may not have a present under the tree, come Christmas, we can get them some because we're going to fill the van. We're going to have a van there, and fans can bring any unwrapped toys there and drop them off. And those will be going to kids less fortunate at Christmas time, and you'll get something out of it as well. You get a free autograph or photo with Nunzio if you donate. So that's a very cool little addition to it. But I don't know, man. It all just felt right. Like I don't know if I've said it yet on this podcast, but I was talking to Tanya the other day actually, and I just think if we were going to do anything WrestleMania weekend, we'd do it in Maine, and we'd see what kind of wild fucking show we can pull together with people who aren't at WrestleMania weekend. I think it could be a real fun party for people who are not going to WrestleMania but staying in the state.
Interesting. So no temptation at all to run in that area, piggyback with another show and try to find something in Connecticut or New York or Jersey?
I wouldn't say no because, never say never. Anything could happen. We did get an offer to do something WrestleMania weekend, but it was not financially smart, in my opinion.
What state? What state was it in?
I was right in New Jersey.
It was in New Jersey. Okay.
But it just was not. It just didn't shake out well for us in the end, I don't believe. And in my head, I'd much rather do something for the people, our fan base who's at home not going to WrestleMania weekend than for, of course I would love to, appeal to such a new audience, but I'm thinking realistically, there's so many shows going to be going on because New York and New Jersey is such a populated wrestling area. It'd be tough not to get overlooked,
I don't think you're going to see quite as many shows as you think there are going to be, because, I can say from experience here, New Jersey has very strict commission laws and rules as to like who needs to be on scene for a combat show.
Yeah, as does New York.
As does New York as well. So
New York's very tough, actually. Like, to my knowledge, New York, you have to have an ambulance at every show.
And I'm fairly certain that's how it is in Jersey too.
Yeah.
So that will deter a lot. Whereas, like when it was in Orlando, you had 50 shows a night. It was going on.
Yeah, there was over like 100 for the weekend, not even including Mania or anything like that.
Right. So, in New Orleans, there were not as many, but there was still quite a bit. So, it really, I think a lot of people don't understand that the athletic commissions kind of set the bar for that. So, I don't think you'll see quite as many in Jersey and New York as you think you will, but I think you'll see a lot in Connecticut. I think you'll see a lot in Pennsylvania too, that aren't that far. And, it's good for everyone, but if you could do something in your backyard, why not?
Yeah.
So
maybe it'd be a cool time to try out maybe a new venue. You never know.
You never know who could show up, too. You never know.
It's true.
Crazy stuff has happened before. So you're talking about, okay, maybe we'll run more shows out of state. That's great and all. But what is this lineup going to be looking like? Team Limitless. We know one person on it already, assuming that you allow him to be in Top Shelf, Troy Nelson, which by your indication before, it sounds like you're cool with it.
Yeah, Top Shelf, regardless if he's within one of those 6 matches or he's in an outside match, he's going to be there representing Limitless Wrestling. So I'm not sure, man. It's very interesting because we have, there are 6 matches that these, versus matches are going to be taking place in. So, who do we pick to represent Limitless Wrestling? Who really encapsulates it? I think a lot of people who have tweeted me, like the Main State Posse makes sense.
Of course.
Makes so much sense,
Well, what shirt am I wearing right now as we're recording this?
Main State Posse, man.
Amen.
I don't know. I want to hear. I don't want to hear what the fans think. I want to hear what you think. Who do you think should represent Team Limitless if you had to make a little team?
I think if Ace Romero is going to partake in this show, I don't know if he is or not, but
he would make sense if he's available.
He would certainly make sense. Josh Briggs would certainly make a lot of sense.
I agree.
Ashley Vox would make a lot of sense.
I think so too.
Let's see here. You might be reluctant to put a guy like him on, but a Christian Casanova would make a lot of sense. A guy who was there from day one.
He's been successful. I want to go in there and get victories, and he's been doing pretty good at that nonetheless.
And, a guy who's kind of on the borderline here is AG.
Yeah, He hasn't been hot recently in Limitless Wrestling, but obviously, not pinned in 2.5 years. That's a pretty good track record.
You always include JT Dunn in the discussion as well, but there's some finicky stuff going on right now. So, and who knows what the climate's going to look like after November.
Yeah, too. And who knows who will actually accept the invitation to represent Limitless.
Right, exactly. Are egos going to get in the way here?
Yeah.
I think that's something that's worth looking into.
Let's do this, actually. Let's say we pick 10 people, tweet us this week at LWMay and use the hashtag Team Limitless, and give me like a group of 8 to 10 who you think are not only deserving, but would get the job done for us to bring them down to Enfield, Connecticut.
So is that including Troy Nelson or not including Troy Nelson?
You don't have to include him because he's already technically been announced as representing Limitless, but...
So I'm going to give you MSP, Briggs.
Okay.
So that's 4. Ace, Ashley Vox. I'll say AG. I don't know if his ego will let him do it, but I hope it does. That's 5. Let's see here. I would like to see... I'll put Casanova on there because he's a day one guy technically.
Yep.
I will go with... I would have loved to put Skylar on there, but I can't put her on it.
No, I think we know what side she's going to choose.
I'd say so. This is tough.
It is tough.
This is not. Oh, you know what? I gotta put the thick boys on there, man.
Hell yeah.
I gotta put the thick boys. I'm putting Chris Dickinson.
Ooh, that's a good one. I didn't even think of Chris.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, I'm 1 over. I gotta get rid of 1. Whew. All right. I'm not including JT Dunn because I don't think he and Ace Romero would dare fight on the same team.
I agree.
I'm going to get rid of AG here because I think right now AG is too preoccupied with himself.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the cool thing later is you think if however the main event shakes out, these guys will have to team with each other.
Yeah. Can you imagine Dunn and Ace Romero teaming together right now?
That would not end well for us.
And you throw AG in that mix, it's just not it's gonna blow up.
Oh yeah.
You got to be smarter than that.
It's a very interesting aspect to a show because it could cause a lot of problems.
Like Briggs and Ace Romero could get along.
They've done it before. They were a part of it,
right?
Too,
I think Ace and Casanova could coexist, but there'd be a lot of ego. It's hard not to even include a guy like AR Fox in this too,
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I want to see
even people. I've been thinking of a lot of people who have shown up lately and just killed it, like Kevin Blackwood or Daniel Garcia.
Yeah.
Harlow even.
Yeah, Harlow I can't put up there yet because she's only been on one show so far, and I know that we're going to start seeing more of Harlow O'Hara, which is exciting. But right now, she hasn't been on enough just yet, but I do think she's very special. Look, the thick boys are like institutions right now with Limitless.
Yeah.
So I got to include those guys. We don't need Puff.
They need Puff.
I don't need Puff.
Why?
Because Puff... Are we still going to go back to this?
Dude, Puff wants to be a thick boy.
Puff is a thick boy.
I'm excited.
Puff is very thick.
He's doing something really, different for himself right here.
Puff is very thick.
Yeah, but he's not a thick boy.
He's a thick man-child.
He's thick and he's a boy, but he's not a thick boy yet. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yuck. But yes, no doubt about that, man. It should be a lot of fun. So yeah, tweet #Team Limitless. We want to hear from you guys about all that. How about How about we make next week's show another Ask Limitless episode? Try to do one a month or so.
Yeah,
What
let's
do you
do
think
it.
about that? Let's do it. Let's do an Ask Limitless show next week. Hashtag Ask Limitless as well. Ask all the questions you want about these shows, and you could also ask questions about Let's Wrestle, which is coming up next Friday at the American Legion Post 84 in Orono. The Main State Posse versus Calvin Strange, Rob Marsh, and Todd Harris in the main event. Eric Johnson versus Brandino Davis. AG returning. He's going to face off with Davian. Insanely Rude is back versus Bear Country. Troy Nelson versus CPA in an alley fight. And more to be announced as well. Lots of good matches here so far.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy this card. I'm really happy with Let's Wrestle, man. Like, I'm really glad that I was talking to Danny about this the other night. Like, just super glad that we made the decision to do this, because it was honestly like Danny, Jossie, and Ben were pushing me, for months. They're like, we should do this. We should really get this going. And I was hesitant at first because I didn't want to. My worry was that I was going to lose some focus with Limitless because of all the extra work it is to do other shows. But, they've been super helpful, and we've got a lot of cool stuff planned out. And this show's a really fun card, really unique. There's also going to be the Scramble, per usual, now rebranded in Let's Wrestle as the Cluster Jam. So be looking for that announcement very soon. Bad Apple Matt McIntosh just added to this card as well. Brett Domino. Real fun card, and we've got a really, really cool announcement for the next Let's Wrestle show, which will be in January. So be on the lookout for that, because that's going to go down next Friday night, American Legion. Tickets are available still, limitlesswrestling.com. Front row is just about sold out, and it's only $10, so get them while you can, and general admission is $8. So definitely come check out this show if you're able. It's a real fun time. Main Event Podcast will be there on commentary as well. So
when am I going to hear my commentary with them?
Very soon. Very soon.
God.
Don't you worry.
I need it.
I know.
It was great.
I'm excited
really
to get it
great.
out there.
I like Insanely Rude too. They're super young, but I think they're talented.
They're very fun. I actually saw RJ for the first time. He did the Limitless Beyond studio taping last November, so he's been on my radar for the past year or so, just pretty close to a year. But since they kind of revamped this Insanely Rude team, they've been very successful, man. They've had a lot of big debuts. They just did the Beyond tryout the other day. They're at XWA frequently. Like, it's very cool to see these dudes out here hustling and really grinding to get ring time and have matches. And
plus Bear Country, man.
I'm happy to have them back, man. It feels like it's been a long time since they've been in anything affiliated with Limitless, and super happy to have them. I know you may be not happy with them.
I don't remember the last time.
It was
a little fuzzy.
Well, we had Beefcake at the Hollis Pirate Fest. He actually had a real fun match with Alvin Alvarez, but you may not remember the last time they were here, because I think you got squished or something of that nature.
I'm a little fuzzy about it. And
if you're fuzzy, man, youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. You can search Whiskey Dick versus Bear Country with John Alba and watch yourself get squished for 157,000 subscribers.
Here's Max Smashmaster.
Oh no! Oh, and John Alba gets smushed in the corner. He's dead.
How did you have that on cue? Amazing.
I needed a way to refresh myself.
Amazing. He's gonna listen to this and laugh so hard.
The Danger Kid?
No, Big Scott.
Well, that was the Danger Kid.
Excuse me, Mr. Smashmaster.
That was the Danger Kid on color commentary there, who, as you heard.
Oh, I know.
He's dead, and I was dead. It took me a while to wake up from that one. I'm fairly certain I got dragged to the back on that. I don't know.
I think so too. You were on somebody's shoulders. Might have been Eric Greenleaf head.
There's no way Eric Greenleaf could get me on his shoulders.
You're probably right. I thought about this week. Eric Greenleaf was on the Main Event Podcast. I really want to have Eric Greenleaf on here and interview him. I think it would be the most fucking hilarious interview, because
I've got nothing good to say to Eric Greenleaf. He
I
screwed
know
me over
so
like
much about Eric Greenleaf that people just need to hear the stories of. It's fucking amazing.
Eric Greenleaf
let's do one right now.
Eric Greenleaf has screwed me over so many times.
Eric Greenleaf is the most up and down referee, because sometimes people sometimes he's immaculate. Nobody complains. And then other times his name gets announced and people fucking boo their asses off. But Eric Greenleaf was training to be a professional wrestler at one point with myself, and he bought Chris Hamrick, ECW's Chris Hamrick. He bought his son's old gear, had a character for himself named Zach Quintus, had a mask and everything. Oh yeah, this was all very very planned out. And then like first or second day of training, he fucking concusses himself and rolls to the outside and is like dead, has to go to the hospital. And that was the end of his wrestling career.
So I had more matches than Eric Greenleaf, is what you're saying.
You do. There's so many layers to Eric Greenleaf that people don't know. Please back me up, Twitter. Please back me up and say we would love to hear about the life and times of Eric Greenleaf, because I want to make it happen. I don't know if it would just be funny for me.
How about this? Here's what I'm going to have you do, Randy. After we finish recording this, you put out on Twitter a tweet asking for, let's go with 100 retweets. If you can get 100 retweets on that tweet that you put out with the hashtag #WeWantGreenleaf for an episode, we'll do an Eric Greenleaf episode.
I am not confident in the abilities of that tweet.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
100 is a little high, I think.
Fine. I'll give you 75, okay? 75.
Maybe I'll try for that.
You're going to have to get some help. If you can get that, then we'll do it. But we are going to do Ask Limitless next week, so send those in. Yes,
we are.
And you can put out a tweet
after
after
this.
Ask
any Eric Greenleaf questions you'd like, please.
Yeah, okay.
No, any questions next week, especially about anything about Let's Wrestle, since that'll come out like the day before the show, or anything about the big weekend that we're closing the year with, No Control and Limitless versus Blitzkrieg. Happy to answer anything. I love the Ask Limitless episodes. I think they're some of the funnest that we do. So anything you want to know, send it in.
One more thing to promote here, other than, of course, the Living the Gimmick stuff coming up. We got a sale of the week.
Yeah. This is a thing we're going to do now. So sale of the week, essentially what it is something that only you're going to know about unless you tell somebody, because this is just promoted for the listeners of this podcast. We're not going to promote it on Instagram, Twitter, anything like that. So you're going to be the only one who knows about it unless somebody goes searching for it online.
And we're going to do it at the end of every podcast, so you have to listen to the whole podcast.
Yeah. This week, we got a new order of Limitless Wrestling beanies. We do an order of these every year, so this is the order that we're doing for 2018. They're going to be on sale this week for just $12 instead of the normal $15, so you can save $3, get a beanie. Again, this will only be like this until the podcast drops next week. Then something else will be on sale, but it won't be the beanie. So if you want to get it cheap, this week is the week.
You heard it here, folks. Don't tell your friends, because you don't want them to steal them. Only you listen to the podcast. You've earned that right to get this on sale. So make sure you're listening to the podcast every single week, and you'll get some fancy Limitless Wrestling hardware, software, awardware? No. On sale. So that's not going anywhere. I actually don't, believe it or not, this is straight shoot. I do not have my Emmy up here or down here in Florida with me. I do not. It did not make my initial moving of boxes and shipments. So
my goodness.
So it is actually currently in New Jersey. So
jeez,
it'll get down here at some point.
Separation anxiety.
Yeah, all the humidity in Florida wouldn't be good for it anyway. So
you're probably right.
That does it for this week's episode, folks. Ask Limitless next week. Send in your questions. Hashtag @AskLimitless at LW Maine right now.